Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Britain in 1980. A new decade, a new beginning.
Welcome to the Retro Rollback and the first in the series of Britain in the 1980s.
Right
So
on.
let's get the leg warmers and the denim jackets on and start at the beginning. Welcome to 1980.
Y'all be sure to go to Retro Rollback and like and subscribe.
New Year's Day saw the debut of what was to become one of the most watched and loved sitcoms of the decade, as we saw Ted Bovis and the yellow coats of Maplin's holiday camp get up to all sorts of seaside mischief in Hi-de-Hi.
Hi-de-Hi.
That was shortly followed a week later by the debut of Family Fortunes, based around the American game show Family Feud, which started 4 years earlier. Comedian Bob Monkhouse presented the show for its first 3 years.
Great show. I've never seen that show, but Family Feud, great game show. So I guess this was probably good too. What was that first show they said? Hi-de-Hi? Let me just look that up one second. Hi-de-Hi. Hi-de-Hi? Hi-de-Hi. British sitcom created by Jimmy Perry and David Croft. Produced for the BBC. January 1st, 1980. Aired for 9 series. Wow. Hi-de-Hi is set within a holiday camp situated in a fictional seaside town of Crimpton-on-Sea, Essex, covering the summer holiday seasons of 1959 and 1960. That's a good premise for a show. I think people in vacation mode make for good characters. Kind of like the White Lotus right now. I'm enjoying that.
In the news, there weren't many laughs in the steel industry, as January saw the first nationwide steelworkers strike since 1926. An estimated 90,000 workers took part in the action, called by the Iron and Steel Trades Confederation, in a bid for a 20% pay rise. A move that led to a
20%?
reaction from new Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, who soon after halved state benefits to the strikers. The strike ended in April,
Wait,
but there was
she what?
soon after halved state benefits to the strikers.
She halved state benefits to the strikers. So the steelworkers went on strike because they wanted a 20% pay raise. Margaret Thatcher not only didn't give them the pay raise, but she cut their benefits in half. Wow. Brutal.
The strike ended in April, but there was worse news to come for the steelworkers. Back to entertainment, and the rise in popularity of indie music led to the movement getting its very own weekly chart, all thanks to the short-lived
wow.
music magazine Record Business. The first chart was issued on the 19th of
I'm sorry, but that's a horrible name for a magazine. Yeah, if you don't want to sell copies, then call it something like Record Business. That sounds great. Entertaining.
to the short-lived music magazine Record Business. The first chart was issued on the 19th of January, and its first number one was a song called Where's Captain Kirk?
Hang on. I mean, I'm making fun of the name of the magazine, but at least they had the first UK indie chart. That's impressive. Let's see. Spiznerg. Where's Captain Kirk? Fiddler's Dram, Delta 5, Modettes, Dead Kennedys, heard of them. Joy Division, heard of them. Various. Scritti Politti? Good name. Honeybane? Good name. Nazis Against Fascism. Good name. Scritti Politti. Oh, they're on here twice. Way to go, Scritti Politti. Oh, I've only heard of a couple of these. Dead Kennedys and Joy Division. I don't think I've heard of the others.
By Spiz Energy. The song may not be memorable, but the chart gave a springboard into the mainstream for bands such as UB40, Adam and the Ants, and Joy Division. Staying with entertainment, and at a time when there was no internet and only 3 TV channels to choose from, the network premiere of a big movie was a big event. And on the 20th of January, 23.5 million of us sat down in front of our TVs to see Roger Moore make his debut as James Bond in Live and Let Die, a movie released in 1973. The
Whoa.
screening saw a record TV audience in the UK for a film at that time.
A 7-year-old film got 23 million viewers. That doesn't happen now. I mean, with streaming and everything, that is amazing. I miss when that would happen. I miss when everybody would watch something. And then the next day you're at work or school or whatever, and that's what people talk about. We have a common thing to talk about instead of staring at our phones and living in entirely different worlds. Roger Moore was my favorite James Bond. But yeah, Live and Let Die. Yo, Paul McCartney song. Awesome.
Residents of Brighton woke up to a new seaside attraction on the 21st of January as merchant ship MS Athena B beached on the town's shoreline to the east of the Palace Pier. The Greek-registered vessel became an unlikely tourist attraction before being removed, and today the ship's anchor is on display in the town's museum.
Wow, how'd that happen? How do you... Was someone not tending to the White House? Or the lighthouse? The White House, oh my god, yo. I need more coffee. Athena. She suffered engine failure in bad weather. Okay, that's how it happens. They didn't have control. It just floated on shore. Oh, Volk's Electric Railway opened out of season to serve the large number of sightseers to look at the boat. That's a good business mind. That's a good business mind. The ship remained on the beach for a month, guarded by the police to prevent looting. After a mobile crane was used to remove the cargo, she was refloated and towed to a scrapyard in Rainham, Kent, in February 1980, where she was scrapped.
Valentine's Day of 1980 saw the opening of the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid.
Oh!
Team GB only came home with one gold medal, thanks to Robin Cousins in the figure skating.
Way to go, Robin.
Another
Wait. Let's look at the scores.
Thanks to Robin Cousins in the figure...
5.8, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9, 5.9. Give the motherfucker a 6, y'all.
Another iconic game show aired for the first time in February. Play Your Cards Right, presented by the king of the catchphrases, Bruce Forsyth.
It's not very late. It can still be a big night if you play your cards right. Good night.
Into March, and pirate radio station Radio Caroline came to a watery end and was forced to cease transmission when MV Mi Amigo, the ship on which it was based, ran aground and sunk off the Thames estuary. At 11:58 p.m, the radio station was officially closed down with an announcement by DJ Stevie Gordon that the crew were leaving the ship to board a lifeboat. The theme tune Caroline by the Fortunes was played and then faded out.
Nice.
Meanwhile, we saw a brand new car on Britain's road.
Did that ship sink? I reacted to a video about Radio Caroline. Maybe I'll post a thing on it. I don't know. Oh, it did sink. Okay. There was a storm and it lost its anchor and started drifting. It began taking in water and the crew was rescued by lifeboat. The generator was left running, but the pumps could not manage and the vessel sank 10 minutes later. Whoa, they just made it out of there. I like that someone had the mental awareness to play a song called Caroline after it happened. Hilarious.
Meanwhile, we saw a brand new car on Britain's roads when Vauxhall launched the first generation of the Astra model, and it could have been yours for a mere £3,558 on the road.
Wow.
The 1st of April saw the opening of Britain's first official naturist beach in Brighton. And though it wasn't an April Fool, bathers had their own section of coastline where they could get a tan in places where the sun didn't usually shine.
Where does that say? Official naturist beach. Beyond this notice, clothing need not be worn for bathing, sunbathing, or other recreation. Why is she wearing a coat? This lady knows what it's about. She gets it. Oh, look! Hanging on the sign. I want to party at this beach.
Rather them than me. A more popular tourist attraction opened just 3 days later, and one that thankfully allowed you to remain fully clothed. That was Alton Towers. After many years as a country estate, it was officially transformed into a theme park, with the installation of its first roller coaster and several new rides. A ticket to Alton Towers in 1980 cost £2.50.
Wow.
Britain.
Wait, is it still there? Show me on a map. Alton Towers. It's still there. How much is it now? $37. Oh, pounds. Excuse me. Wait, no, this says dollars. It converted it for me. Wait, is this UK? Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. Well, it's still there, y'all. Wow. Those are some substantial roller coasters. Awesome. I'm glad it's still there.
Lost one of its big screen heavyweights in 1980 when filmmaker Sir Alfred Hitchcock died aged 80 at his home in Los Angeles. Born in London, Hitchcock was one of the UK's most prolific filmmakers, best known for his horror movies Psycho and The Birds in the early 60s.
Yeah, that's strange. It's weird to think of Alfred Hitchcock being alive in the 80s. Technically, he was, for a little bit of it. That's so interesting. I guess he was 80 years old.
One of the biggest news stories in April was the Iranian Embassy siege. A 6-man terrorist team captured the embassy building in Prince's Gate, Knightsbridge, taking 26 hostages. On the 5th of May, the embassy was raided by the SAS in Operation Nimrod on day 6 of the siege, rescuing remaining hostages and ending the situation. The operation was televised live on the evening of the bank holiday and remains one of the most memorable real-life events broadcast on British television.
Oh, hang on. Wait, what? South Kensington, London. Iranian Arabs campaigning for sovereignty of Khuzestan province took 26 people hostage. It was the staff, several visitors, and a police officer who was guarding the embassy. They demanded the release of prisoners in Khuzestan and their own safe passage out of the United Kingdom. Oh, on the 6th day, they killed a hostage and threw the body out of the embassy. And then they killed 5 of the 6 hostage takers. Oh, the SAS killed the hostage takers, right. It was televised live on a bank holiday. Oh yeah, he said that. Because of that, it became a defining moment in British history and proved a career boost for several journalists. It became the subject of multiple documentaries and works of fiction. Wow. That's terrifying. I mean, literally, they're terrorists.
To football, and Nottingham Forest, under the management of Brian Clough, retained the European Cup for a second consecutive year, with a 1-0 win in the final over West German side Hamburg.
Nice.
John Robertson scoring the only goal of the game. But it was a mediocre finish in the league for Forest as they finished in 5th place.
Goal.
Liverpool took the title, whilst Bristol City, Derby County and Bolton Wanderers all dropped into League 2.
Hang on. Liverpool first, Manchester United, Ipswich Town, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Aston Villa, Southampton. Way to go, Liverpool.
In Scotland, Aberdeen were on the ascendancy under Alex Ferguson, winning the Premier League title by a point over Celtic. Dundee and Hibernian faced the dreaded drop. The Scottish Cup final in 1980 was memorable for all the wrong reasons, and left a lasting legacy that's still felt in Scottish football today. The Old Firm final on the 10th of May between bitter rivals Rangers and Celtic was played out in front of 70,000 fans at Hampden Park and finished in stalemate. George McCluskey scoring the only goal of the game in extra time and sending the silverware to Celtic.
Wow, great goal.
But this final wasn't remembered for the football. Violent clashes ensued at full time as both sets of fans spilled onto the pitch, charging at each other and throwing bricks, bottles and cans, with iron bars and wooden staves from terracing frames being used as weapons. Mounted police were sent in to try and de-escalate the situation. Excessive alcohol was blamed for the disorder, and alcohol was subsequently banned from all football stadiums in Scotland, a ban that still exists today.
Yeah, I think I heard of that before. Wow. This was in 45 years ago? Wow.
The 26th of May 1980. A big day for TV soap fans as BBC One aired the 3rd season finale of the American drama series Dallas, in which J.R. Ewing was shot by an unknown assailant in his office, and it led to the cliffhanger of Who Shot J.R., possibly the most asked question of 1980. But fans had to wait until November when the series returned to find out who was doing the shooting. In June, just 2...
Wow, I didn't know Dallas aired in Britain. That's funny. Who did shoot JR? Was it his wife? Was it his wife, y'all? Kristen Shepherd. Kristen was JR's scheming sister-in-law and mistress who shot him in a fit of anger. Way to go, Kristen. Mary Crosby.
2 months after the resolution of the national steel strike, the industry received one of its biggest blows. The the confirmation of the closure of Consett Steelworks in County Durham, one of the largest steel plants in the UK, employing over 4,000 workers, and raising the unemployment rate in the area to 35% upon its closure in September, the highest unemployment of any town or city in the UK.
And Thatcher still went on to close mines. Margaret.
Also in June, another piece of the UK's pre-decimal currency was confined to the history books. The sixpence coin, at the time worth 2.5 pence, was first minted in 1551 and ceased to be legal tender in 1980.
Wow.
Now we've reached the halfway...
That makes sense. Like, that's kind of a pointless denomination at that point, right?
Now we've reached the halfway stage of 1980, let's go shopping and spend some of those sixpences before they become worthless. And if you were watching the pennies, you could always head to Fine Fair and buy their own brand items. 80 tea bags for 31.5 pence, and ginger nuts for dunking into your tea, 19 pence a packet.
What?
And 89 pence for a 3-kilogram bag of dog food. If you were buying a new music centre, as they were called at the time, the latest state-of-the-art Toshiba with tuner, tape deck and turntable in Curry's was £349.95.
Oh,
That was a lot.
that seems about the same as now, right? Maybe more.
Of money back then, but a more basic model was only £129. Now we've spent all of our money, let's get back to the news. And July began with a massive fire at one of London's iconic buildings. Alexandra Palace was gutted by fire on the 10th of the month during Capital Radio's Jazz Festival. A fire started under the organ and quickly spread, destroying half of the building.
Those tubes.
July saw the summer...
Those tubes. They get hot. Alexandra Palace. Show me all the map. Alexandra Palace. Damn it. Alexandra Palace. It's still there. Where is it? Oh, London. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. Beautiful. Wow. Yes. Wow. That's a substantial venue. I guess they rebuilt it after the fire, huh? There's an ice rink in there. Wow. Cool venue.
July saw the Summer Olympics take place in Moscow and was boycotted by many countries, although Team GB did compete, bringing back 5 gold, 7 silver and 9 bronze medals.
Nice.
At the end of the month, singer, actor and member of the Goons Peter Sellers died of heart failure, aged just 54. He became known to a worldwide audience through his many film roles, among them Chief Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther series.
Yeah.
That takes us into August.
Wow, that must have been a big deal. He was so iconic. I think I first learned about him when I was a little kid as Inspector Clouseau, and then later, as an adult, I realized he's actually this really huge comedic legend. I just thought he was Inspector Clouseau when I was a kid. But he did all these other things.
That takes us into August, and a new transport system opened for business in Tyneside. The Tyne and Wear Metro light rail network ran its first trains, although much of the initial network was still under construction and wasn't fully operational until 1984. October saw the launch of one of the most popular cars of the 1980s. And it wasn't a prestige car by any means. Enter the Austin Metro.
Oh, that kind of looks familiar.
With a starting price of just over £3,000 brand new, it rapidly became the town and city car of choice, and a few years later was Britain's bestseller.
Wow. The Austin Metro. Super mini British car. The Metro is a super mini car. Later, a city car that was produced from 1980 to 1998. Hey, look at it. That looks like a VW Golf or something. Yeah, good to have a little car in this city for all the parallel parking, y'all. Oh my god. Oh, they were trying to replace the Mini. They may have sort of done that. Although Minis are pretty popular now, and I've never even heard of the Austin Metro, But it looks really familiar. I feel like I've seen that. Did Mr. Bean drive one of those? Oh no, he drove a Mini. Okay.
Party conference season was in full swing in October, And it was the Conservatives that made the biggest headlines as Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher made a speech in Brighton with a catchphrase that's still remembered today and probably always will be.
U-turn if you want to. The ladies not for turning.
Tory MPs warned her economic policy was responsible for the current recession and rising unemployment, but she made it pretty clear she wouldn't be sidetracked.
Let us ignore the howls and threats of the extremists. Let us stand together and do our duty, and we shall not fail.
What does she mean, U-turn if you want to? Margaret Thatcher, U-turn. The ladies not for turning was a phrase used by Margaret Thatcher in her speech. The term has thus been applied as a name to the speech in its entirety. It is considered a defining speech in Thatcher's political development. Okay. The phrase made reference to Thatcher's refusal to become a U-turn in response to opposition to her liberalization of the economy, which some commentators, as well as her predecessor as Conservative leader Edward Heath, had urged, mainly because unemployment had risen to 2 million by the autumn of 1980, from 1.5 million the previous year, and the economy was in recession. How'd that work out, Margaret?
Something happened that shook the world of music to the core. On the 8th of December, John Lennon left his vehicle and walked through the archway of the Dakota Building in New York. Mark Chapman then shot Lennon twice in the back and twice in the shoulder at close range. He was rushed to the emergency room of Roosevelt Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival at 11:15 p.m. Lennon had just finished recording his comeback album Double Fantasy, and several singles became chart hits into early 1981. Sorry to end the video on...
I think about that a lot. I'm a huge Beatles fan, a huge John Lennon fan. At the time, that must have felt so gross that someone could do that to someone so celebrated. It must have felt like the future was going to be dark and that everything great was just crumbling. I think this footage they're showing of him here is when he was explaining how he saw a UFO over New York.
Sorry to end the video on a negative, but that was the year that was 1980. If you enjoyed the video and love nostalgia, then why not give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button on the channel as well. It's completely free and you'll find out when I upload more videos just like this.
Yeah.
In the meantime, why not click on one of the videos on screen just now and keep on watching. And I'll see you again on the next one.
I'll watch that 1981 as well. I didn't know a lot about a lot of this stuff. Interesting to see how it comes together. I always like watching these British culture videos about the history because it's like an alternate universe. And then every once in a while there'll be some intermingling, like Dallas. And then, of course, John Lennon. Well, y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see you next time. Later.